We will call the meeting. We will have the roll at this time.
Commissioner Ryan,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Blower,
Here.
Commissioner Jewell,
Here.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins, Commissioner Sorensen,
I am here.
Commissioner Jordan,
Here.
Commissioner Wesley.
Here, we have a quorum. At this time, we have the members' remote announcement for the Open Meetings Act.
Good evening, commissioners and the public. This is Joanne Gurley, Assistant City Attorney for the City of Flint. And the message reads, all boards and commissions must adhere to all laws established under the Michigan compiled laws and in accordance with the revisions of the Open Meetings Act adopted in Senate Bill 1108 that's passed on October 13th, 2020 and signed into law on October 16th, 2020. A public announcement shall be made by each member who is attending the meeting remotely that he or she is attending the meeting remotely, and except for those in military service, stating his or her physical location.
Commissioner Ryan,
Commissioner Ryan, appearing remotely from my home in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Campbell,
Commissioner Campbell, appearing remotely from my residence in the city of Flint.
Commissioner Blower,
This is Commissioner Blower. I'm attending remotely from my residence in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Jewell,
This is Commissioner Jewell. I'm attending remotely from my residence in the city of Flint.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins, Commissioner Sorensen,
Commissioner Sorensen appearing remotely from my home in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Jordan,
Hearing remotely from Flint, Michigan.
and Commissioner Wesley.
Commissioner Wesley appearing remotely from my residence in Flint, Michigan. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jordan.
Commissioner Jordan?
Under new business, could we please add neighborhood symposium?
Got it. Are there any other additions or changes to the agenda? Chair will entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
Commissioner Jordan, I move acceptance of the agenda.
Commissioner
Okay.
Campbell, support.
So moved and properly supported that the agenda be approved. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sounds like we had a unanimous approval. Minutes of June 8th, 2021.
Chairman Wesley, if you don't mind, this is John Mateen.
Yes, Jonathan.
There was one addition I'd like to make note of. It's on page 8 of the minutes. It's the last paragraph before reports. There was a roll call vote after the motion was made by Commissioner Jordan. I did not put the roll call vote in there, and so just wanted to make note of that.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Jewell.
yes. Could we just note for the record that regarding the item that Mr. Mateen just made reference to, that the motion did pass? Additionally, I have an item on page 7. And if you go to SPR 21-945, the second to last line in the narrative, it said, Jewel noted that there was also a requirement for the term "not for construction" to be removed. Not for construction should be capitalized as N in not, for, F for, C for construction. So that can be separated out. So it would read, there is also a requirement for the term "not for construction" to be removed. To have that capitalized. Just the first letters.
From the site plan drawings. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
From the site plan drawings.
And Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jordan. I just have one correction on page 1. And that is just under roll call, the last item there. It currently says 6 yes, 0 no, but actually that was just roll call. It wasn't a vote.
Yeah.
So that tally can be deleted.
Are there any other corrections or additions? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of June 8th, 2021.
This is
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner,
Commissioner Jewell,
I'll pass. Go ahead.
was that Commissioner Campbell that I heard?
Yes, sir.
You wanted to make the motion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve our minutes from June 8th, 2021 with the corrections as noted.
Do I hear support?
Support Commissioner
Ryan,
Ryan.
supported. Roll for approval of the minutes of June 8th, 2021.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes,
Commissioner Blower,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes, with corrections.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins, Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. The minutes of June 8th, 2021 have been approved. The public forum. The public is invited to take part on anything appearing on our agenda this evening. If you are a member of the public wishing to speak on items in our public hearing, all except for the first one, because the public hearing has already been held on PC 21-406. You will have an opportunity to address the commission at the time the public hearing is called. All others who would like to address the commission at this time on things appearing on our agenda may do so. Is anyone in the public wishing to address the commission? Anyone in the public wishing to address the commission?
Yes, Chair, this is Chris Yates with Bishop Airport.
Yates? Go ahead.
I'd like to address the commission. You mentioned in regards to PC 21-406.
Right. Native X.
Yes, if able, I'd like to.
Okay, go ahead. I'll give you that opportunity.
I do appreciate it. I'm Chief Operating Officer here at Bishop Airport. And to get right into it, October 1st of 2019, the FAA released a memo to airports stating that under Title 21 of the United States Code, it is unlawful for any person to knowingly or intentionally manufacture, distribute, or dispense, or possess with intent to manufacture, distribute, or dispense any controlled substance. In this case, marijuana is still a federally controlled substance. Consequently, these activities occurring on airport property would subject the airport to potential criminal liability. The FAA has made it clear in their stance regarding commercial marijuana operations that they don't approve them. As such, in January of this year, Springerville Municipal Airport in Arizona received a letter from the FAA stating that the airport is in a violation of their grant assurances as they permitted a commercial marijuana operation to occur on airport property. The FAA in that letter specifically cited grant assurance number 1, which requires the airport sponsor to comply with all applicable federal laws, regulations, and policies. Now, I understand that this facility isn't technically on airport property, and I'll mention in regards to that in a moment, but I just want to delve into grant assurance, and if anybody in the public or on the commission may not be aware, anytime that the airport accepts federal grant money, typically for capital improvement projects, the airport assures the FAA that will uphold the 39 different grant assurances, which is essentially just the FAA's way to enforce their policy. If the airport does not maintain these assurances, then the airport is in violation and runs the risk of losing federal funding, which is, if we circle back around to where Springerville Municipal Airport received the letter, they're in violation, and they're running that risk currently of losing their federal funding. I mentioned that this facility isn't currently on airport property. One of the grant assurances is Grant Assurance 21 in regards to compatible land use. This assurance states that the FAA requires the sponsor to take appropriate action to restrict use of land adjacent to or in the immediate vicinity of the airport to activities that are compatible with normal airport operations. And we believe that it is clear based on the language in the FAA's memo from October 1st, as well as the letter to Springerville Municipal Airport, that a commercial marijuana operation is not a compatible land use. To kind of pull all things together and wrap it up, primary concern for the airport is jeopardizing federal funding, including a $5 million grant that we're expected to receive this year. Bishop Airport has received approximately $40 million from state and federal funding for capital improvements since 2010, much of which goes to the local community through the local contractors conducting the work. Summarizing, that's our main concern, is jeopardizing the federal funding.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to address the commission? Anyone else wish to address the commission?
Yes, sir. This is Todd Campbell, Richfield Industries, 3020 Air Park Drive, Flint, Michigan, 48507. Yeah, Richfield Industries remains.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Were you here when the public hearing for that was called at our last meeting?
Yes, sir, May 7th.
Okay, well, you had your opportunity to address commission on that issue, and we have that there, and I think I have a letter from you, I do. So, if there's anything else that you wish to address the commission on besides Native X that is appearing on our agenda, that's not on our agenda, really, you may do so. But
okay, yeah, the letter, the new letter that shows the proximity of the airport and the gate and so forth, that's the letter that you have, sir?
yes, I do.
Okay, that's the one I just wanted to make sure you had that, and we just remain 100% against this special use permit. Thank you for your time.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else wishing to address the commission? Anyone else wishing to address the commission?
Hi, this is Mark Kruger. I own Enel Construction Group. I wanted to also make sure that all the letters from our company and the tenants in our building were received by the commissioners and been reviewed. I emailed them over again today, and we had hard copies hand carried to the city of Flint and Bay and today.
Mr. Kruger, I have one from you. I have one, well, matter of fact, I have two from you. Mark Kruger and another Mark Kruger. Todd Campbell. Samuel Cox. And another
Okay,
Mark
it sounds
Kruger.
okay. You've gotten all of our letters of our tenants and
Yep.
facilities and companies in our building. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wishing to address the commission? Anyone else wishing to address the commission? Casey, I'm assuming that the other folks out there are listening audience?
That is correct, sir.
Anyone else wishing to address the commission? If not, that portion of the public hearing is now closed. Next item on our agenda is PC 21406 Native X LLC request a Group F special regulated use permit for an adult use growing marijuana facility at 3039 Air Park Drive, PID 4034-100031. This is a continuation of our public hearing. Mr. Vandercook, are you going to make comment on this before we continue on with our deliberations between the commissioners?
Yeah, just like to note, if you don't mind, Commissioner Wesley, that regarding the background, the application was presented to the Planning Commission on May 25th. A motion was made to postpone for continuation of PC 21406 with the understanding that the applicant will provide a final floor plan and accompanying security plan to staff by June 9th. The applicant has provided these required materials as well as a declaration of restrictions and covenants for the Bishop Bear Park plant. Additionally, Bishop Bear International Airport Authority provided a letter to the Flint Planning Commission, which you should have received in your packages. Thank you, Commissioner Wesley.
Commissioners, this is a continuation of our deliberation. We adjourned this meeting on June 8th, well, May 25th, I guess it was, for the security plan and further deliberation. So to the commissioners, have you had an opportunity to review their security plan? I'm sure everybody got one in their packet of information. You know, also, I think when for deliberation at the time, I'd just like to note that I did receive an Air Park declaration of restrictions and covenant that was signed by Jim Rutherford back in April of 1978. And that talked about, I think Mr. Kruger might have gotten that to us. Okay. Further
Miss-
discussion?
Yeah, Mr.
Go
Chair,
ahead, Mr. Jewell.
yeah, this is Commissioner Jewell. Regarding the declaration of restrictions that was signed back in 78, is that document still in effect?
I didn't see, I was looking if it had a
Like a,
expiration
Duration.
date on it.
yeah.
This is Commissioner Jordan. I note that the letter that we received from Bishop Airport, in the first paragraph, it does note that the covenant had expired.
It expired, right?
Correct.
I also see that it looks like the applicant has raised their hand on Zoom. So I don't know, Chair Wesley, if you had seen that, but I just wanted to mention that.
Well, I didn't see a hand raise. Do you?
Yeah, it's they've got the little digital hand signal up there for Austin Barr, it looks like.
Yes, if it's all right, I just wanted to clarify for you the extinguishment clause in article. It says that 30 years after the beginning of this document, it will terminate.
Okay. I'm still trying to find that little hand. Okay.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner
I
Jewell.
got it. Go ahead, Commissioner Jewell.
Yeah, I just wanted, just for the record, to verify that declaration of restrictions has expired, just so we're aware
Right.
of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I know this is Commissioner Jewell again. I know Commissioner Jordan, I think, had some questions, concerns regarding the security plan and floor plan. I felt comfortable with it, but I didn't know if she had anything addition that she wanted to review on that.
No, I think my main concern from the last time we looked at this was that there be consistency between the floor plan and the schematic for the security diagram. It looks like that has been addressed.
And that was also my understanding, Mr. Chair, that there was I'll use Commissioner Jordan's term, consistency.
Right. Is there any further question or comment to the applicant? Is there a truck driving school going out of that building right now?
No, there used to be in the past.
Okay. So there's not a school going there now?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner
Yes, Commissioner.
Campbell,
Kemp. Okay.
in the letter from Bishop Airport, I think the third paragraph, I know we were concerned about the first paragraph expiring, but the memorandum dated October 1st, 2019, they talk about that in the third paragraph. And then also today, the gentleman from Bishop Airport spoke, saying that it sounds like in the future, they're going to be, sounds like to me that in the future, they're going, any airport that's anywhere with marijuana is going to be disallowed. At least that's my understanding from the gentleman today. Is that correct?
It runs a risk because the facility is not directly on the property.
Correct.
It's now the gate to the runways is right
There.
right in front of the property. I mean, it's right there. It's a locked gate, but it's always run. And I know Bishop Airport has some security issues with that type of facility. And I think the basic one with their master plan, they're planning on developing all of that back to that fence line as part of their master plan, and they get federal dollars, and it runs the risk of putting those federal dollars in jeopardy if such facilities is located in those close proximities. And that is the air park.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes, Commissioner Jewell.
And just for recollection, to my fellow commissioners, there was a similar effort in the past for a facility placed there. And again, the issue of the location of Bishop Airport, as well as the recreational facility down the road, was raised. The other thing I want to make a notation on is the information that we received from Bishop Airport does note and as presented this evening, I'll refer to it as their development master plan for their endeavors. And particularly on page 2, there's a number of references to that, as well as potential challenges with grant funding and so forth. I do note the fact that they presented an actual document on their development. So it appears that they've already been in process and are in process of the development of their land. And I know one of the items that we always take a look at is compatibility, which I actually had on my notes here, with adjacent land use. So that seems to be also an item for us to be able to take into consideration of this particular facility applicant affecting surrounding development and compatibility related issues. So I just wanted to raise that for discussion.
This is Commissioner Ryan. I have a question for the attorney. Is the city on this by being an annex? Is any harm or noticed as far as any federal violation on using federal dollars to that location?
I would know.
I think that that's something that I would have to look into. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that,
And the
sir.
reason why I asked that is because it's a city annex.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
think the
would.
city owns that property though. That it's on.
I was talking about any city funds being applied to that property in the near future. Does it affect that?
You mean Flint City gonna give the air park some money?
Well, yeah, I
Okay.
don't think so, but I just wanted to be clear that there was no notice or report that it would be in effect.
Okay.
And I got my answer. She has to do research on it, she said, if I understood correctly.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Campbell, I think if you look at the second page from Bishop Airport, if you look at the last paragraph and the paragraph before the last paragraph, that probably will answer our question. The questions that's being thrown out there now.
As far as how it affects
How it affects
federal
how it
dollars.
affects federal dollars. Yes, how it affects federal dollars.
It says the average distance of from an airport or a dispensary is 16 miles, with the closest being 9.5 miles. Right.
Would it be okay for me to make a comment from the applicant?
You are the applicant?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'd just like to clarify, and I think that you have in your possession a letter from the FAA dated November 30th, 2020. If the concern from Bishop Airport was the FAA not approving the use, I think this letter really spoke to that. I'd reached out to them to obtain another letter, and I'm waiting a response, but we are in the same road 2 doors down from this building, and the FAA noted here that Air Park Drive properties are not owned by the airport. They do not have direct access to the airport unless through that taxiway in the back. And then it continues, therefore, there are no airport or aviation related laws, regulations, policies, or guidelines which would impact the use of the property for the stated purpose.
Yeah, we know there's no through the fence agreement.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, yes, go ahead, Mr. Jewell.
yeah, this is Commissioner Jewell. Appreciate the comment by the applicant. That's information that we've already received. Mr. Chair, I understand you received today some additional letters and information. Could you just summarize those for us, please?
This is from Mark A. Kruger, Chief Operating Officer of the E&L Construction Group. It says we would like to again state our total opposition to allow the marijuana facility at 3039 Airport Drive. We oppose to this proposal for many reasons, ranging from security, image, and restrictions that have been in place for 20+ years on what is allowed in the airport park. I have concerns to that entire opposition on this proposal is not being heard. Our proposal is not being heard by the commission. I have participated in every hearing on this and will be listening on this one too, which means the meeting then. I am very disappointed that there have been no specific mention of the letters opposing this proposed action at the last meeting. We have these letters, and I don't go through and I don't read every letter into the record. We make them part of the record, but the commissioners have them. And he also referenced that I am unsure that it was noted by the committee due to so much conversation occurring when one of the commissioners asked about entering them on the record. Richfield Industries, E&L Construction Group, AMEDGE, AMEDGE Incorporated, Kroger Development and Industrial Alliance. And there are others, Richfield Electric, General Motors, and I think General Motors is on the line in opposition tonight too, and Bishop IAP. And we got Kruger Developments. That letter strongly opposed for granting the special regulated permit for an adult retail marijuana facility at 3039 Air Park Drive. We're the owners of 3040 Air Park Drive South and 3043 Airport Drive South, both of which are directly across from the proposed facility. And it goes on, and we strongly request the Planning Commission to oppose and reject in full PC 21406. The next one is from Richfield Industries. Richfield is 100% against issuing a marijuana retail special use permit for 3039 Air Park Drive. Richfield has been a long-term business location at 3022 Airport Drive, Flint, Michigan. We purchased the property and the building in 1996 within the Bishop industrial park, as we felt comfortable that the airport would lead to a long-term stable like business and neighbor. We feel the city of Flint should want the same and uphold the spirit of what airport business were intended to be. And it goes on to further state their strong opposition, and that was from Mr. Ty Campbell. Arco Systems, we strongly oppose this proposal at 3039 Airport Drive. We are the minority construction arm of E&L Construction Group. And it goes on to say, we are 100% drug-free company. We test our employees upon employment and randomly during their employment. A retail marijuana facility is not desirable in the Bishop International Airport, as the use of a recreational marijuana, and marijuana is prohibited for all Arco system employees. We're against this proposal. And AmEdge, we sincerely hope this endeavor is disapproved. We oppose the proposal for a special use permit. We leased over 30 trucks and construction equipment leased to E&L Construction Group. And this is a primary occupant of 2 principals directly across from the proposed facility. Okay. And we would be faced with increased insurance premiums and downtime if any incident occurs. It is our hope that you will reject the proposal and any future proposals of this nature. Those are the letters that I got, and I also got the master plan diagram, and I think the commissioners got that in their mail for Bishop Airport and that their development, and it's all sorts of things that's going on now. And of course, the letter from Bishop International Airport from the executive director. And I know we had Christopher Yates online tonight, who read the letter from Bishop Airport. So those that I have, Commissioner Jewell, for
Okay.
be
Mr.
read
Chair.
into the, yeah.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Just wanted to make sure we had all the information before us.
Yep. That is those. Any further deliberation from the commissioners' discussion?
This is Commissioner Jordan. I just want to clarify that I know that some of the letters we received, including the one from Bishop Airport, made reference to the proposed facility as a retail facility. And so just wanting to state aloud that the requested special regulated use permit is not for retail, it's for growing. So just wanted to mention that in case anybody was under a different impression.
And of course,
Hi, this is Mark Kruger. When that came out, when those letters were written, it was on the agenda that it was to be a retail facility.
Mr. Chair,
Kruger,
Mr. Chair,
Kruger.
we're in the midst of
Mr.
a
Jewell,
conversation.
Mr. Jewell, I'll
Okay.
handle it, okay? I got it.
Okay.
Mr. Kruger, you're not able to speak at this time. This is just for the commissioners' deliberation. Thank you. Commissioner Jordan, that was the extent of you wanted to clarify that this is just a grow facility? Okay, that is true. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is the desire of the commission?
I know customarily we would give the commissioner whose ward it's located an opportunity to make a motion. So I guess before I jump in, I'll just inquire whether Commissioner Sorensen, were you interested in making a motion or would you prefer someone else do?
I'm sorry. No, actually, sure, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to deny the request for the special regulated use permit at 3039 Airport Drive, parcel ID number 4034100031. Thank you.
Support.
Would, it's been moved and properly supported. Would the commissioner like to set forth some findings as to the denial, maybe?
Mr. Chair, I just think that it is, we're putting much more at risk in that area to approve this, given what the airport authority has presented to the commission. And I would just err on the side of denying this motion, denying this request for that reason. I would just not hinder the development of what's stands to happen there at the airport.
Mr. Chair, and go ahead, Commissioner Jordan.
I was just going to ask Commissioner Sorensen if I might add to what you identified in terms of the incompatibility with the adjacent use of land and through the fence agreement that gives access to the runway.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jewell?
Yeah, it seems there are three key items that Commissioner Sorensen is outlining. One is the compatibility, as Commissioner Jordan stated, with the land use for Bishop Airport and their designed master plan of development. And the other, if Commissioner Sorensen is acceptable to, is also opposition raised by the surrounding businesses.
Okay. There's been findings set forth that PC 21406 Native X request for a Group F special regulated use permit for an adult use growing marijuana facility at 3039 Airport Drive, PID 40 34100031 be denied for not compatibility for the consistent land use and surrounding businesses, and the risk of federal dollars being limited going into one of the treasures that Flint has right now, which is Bishop Airport. Any further discussion? Roll.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Blauer,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins, Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes for denial. To the applicant, the request for a Group F special regulated use for a growing marijuana facility at 3039 Airport Drive has been denied. Thank you.
May I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I'm just curious if I reach out to the FAA and get some confirmation on their position, if we could possibly continue deliberation.
Not at this time, no. No continued deliberation. Our deliberation is done at this point. Okay, next item on our agenda is PC 21-411. Jonathan,
Need some help, Commissioner Wesley.
I think I got it, but what is it?
I believe it's Pagati Enterprises.
Yes, Pagati? Pagati? Like, is that like the car or the suit? Pagati Enterprises. PC 21-411 Pagati Enterprises LLC
Terry, what
request
do you want for dinner, honey?
fried chicken. Come on,
Come on over about 8.
you cooking for everybody. With it. Commissioner Sorensen, would you mute your line, please?
I sure will. Thank you.
Okay.
Could mine be spicy?
No.
Okay. All right. Got to get the serious face back on again. PC 21-411 Pagati Enterprises LLC request for a medical marijuana facility location variance from 300 feet from a residential zone for a Group F growing facility at 2424 Kansas, Flint, Michigan, PID 41-48284-013. Jonathan, are you going to do the staff report or Bill?
I think Corey is going to do that.
Corey's going to do it. I forgot I had Corey. I didn't
I'm
write
here.
Corey on this one.
Can everyone hear me?
Yep, got
Yeah.
you, Corey.
First off the bat, I just want to apologize. Casey informed me that in the future, if I change the forms or anything, you guys want it run by you first, and I was not aware of that. So I hope you weren't too thrown off by the new staff report. But I changed it for a few reasons. Firstly, because for variances like this, I wanted it to be consistent with how we present it to the ZBA. So Commissioner Blauer will be familiar with this formatting. And secondly, it puts the standards in the ordinance, the 5 standards front and center. Because that really is how the commission should be making their determination on the issue. So for this request, the applicant is requesting 238.6 feet of relief from the 300-foot setback requirement for residences. The nearest residence is only 61.4 feet away. So for standard 1, the standard is the proposed use will not alter the essential character of the area. In support, we found that the existing use of the area is already industrial commercial, and the proposed use would now represent a significant detour from these uses. In opposition, we found that the proposed marijuana facility would represent an incompatible use with the residences directly to the north. There does not appear to be anything to buffer the proposed use from directly impacting these residences. There's no apparent buffer that I could find, both either artificial or natural. For standard 2, the problem is not a self-created hardship. We could not find any findings in support. In opposition, we found there does not appear to be any hardship imposed on the applicant. Standard 3, the use will be compatible with adjacent uses of land. In support, we found that the existing use of the area is already industrial commercial and the proposed use would not represent a significant detour. In opposition, the proposed marijuana facility would represent an incompatible use with the residences directly to the north. Standard 4, the plight is due to unique circumstances peculiar to the property and not to general neighborhood conditions. We could not find anything in support. In opposition, we found there does not appear to be any plight or hardship unique to this property. Finally, standard 5, issuance of the variance would still ensure that the spirit of the ordinance is intact. We did not have any findings in support. In opposition, we found that the marijuana ordinance was drafted with the intent of protecting residences and other vulnerable developments from experiencing negative impacts from marijuana development in the city. Granting of this variance would appear to negatively impact the adjacent residences due to the fact that there was no identifiable buffer. And then on the last page, I just outlined to help you when you make your motion. This is kind of a template you can use, sample motion to approve. I just want to make sure you guys have been doing good on this, but I just want to make sure every motion that's made is based on the standards. Are there any questions for me? Thank you.
Commissioner Sorensen, I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, very good.
Corey, through the chair. Corey, I think these have worked really well with ZBA. I'm glad that you've kind of brought it over to Planning Commission. I think that we've referenced it quite a bit as ZBA, so looking forward to using it in the future.
Good, glad to hear.
Okay. The applicant.
I'm sorry, this is Commissioner Campbell. Is this something, Corey, that we used before when Megan was here?
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe.
Okay.
I was not here when Megan was here. She left just before I started.
It was similar.
Well,
We started that.
Commissioner Julie would know. Okay.
It-
It looks familiar. It's good, but it looked familiar. I was just wondering, was it the?
This is a
Okay.
very standard formatting, so you probably have seen it before.
Okay, thank you. It's very good. Thank you.
Okay. Is the applicant present?
Yes, Steve Cusis, I'm here on behalf of the applicant, who's also present for Pagadi Enterprises. I also believe that the property owner, Alfred Zaytuna, is on the line as well.
Yes, I am.
All right. Tell us about your request.
So we filed this request. I had spoken with Ms. Thompson.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, appreciate Mr. Keo, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, Mr. Kiosis, Steve Kiosis. He said he's representing the applicant. Can he clarify that and what his role is?
I'm the attorney, and I prepared the documentation. I have the applicant here with me as well from Pagadi Enterprises, Demetrius Cusis, who's my brother.
Mr. Chair, it's my understanding the attorney isn't applying for this. The owner and the applicant, and if he's present, I'll be curious why he's not presenting.
I am here. My name is Alfred Zaytuna. I just didn't want to speak out of turn. That's all.
Mr. Chair, I just raised the issue because there are standards regarding who's representing and if they've been authorized and so forth, but I'll leave that to your discretion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. To the attorney, who is the brother of the owner, the brother asked you to represent him in this case. Am I correct?
That's correct. Demetrius Cusis is in here, and he can attest to that.
It is correct.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we put forth this variance request pursuant to the changed ordinance. Speaking with the former attorney, Kelly Thompson, I reviewed the ordinance and the variance application. We prepared it. We were to put together a variance request plan to talk about blight remediation, charitable contributions, and benefits to the community. And I've put together a detailed plan, including contact with the various neighborhood associations, potential jobs, charitable donations, volunteer in the community, other blight remediation issues. We're aware that there's property to the north, but our property is zoned industrial. It's an industrial strip there. So everything that we will do will benefit the community. There will be security there. We will have 24-hour electronic surveillance. The property will be beautiful. It will be brought up to standards, the code, and it will be a benefit to the community. Plus our community involvement in charitable donations and the jobs that we will be able to bring will benefit the community. In terms of jobs, we will support Michigan Works and try to hire most, if not all of our employees from the Flint area. That's our goal, and that's why we seek this variance request. The company Pagratti is pre-qualified right now, and we're targeting this property as a suitable home for us for our growth.
Okay. Is there anything else?
If you have any questions regarding the plan I put forth, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions from the commission to the applicant?
This is Commissioner Ryan. Have you contacted the residents of that community to find out their opinion?
No, we've not reached out to them yet. What we did was we presumed that they would be present at this conference, at this commission hearing, if there was anyone in opposition. We've heard no opposition so far.
I've talked to a few of them. If you don't mind me speaking at the moment, this is Alfred Zaytuna. I'm with Sigma Group Holding LLC, the owner of the building. And they actually welcomed it with a few of the residents that I spoke directly across from the building, knowing the kind of security they will bring to the neighborhood.
Do you have letters stating that?
No, but I can acquire those if needed be.
Thank you.
Other questions from the commission?
This is Commissioner Jordan. I have a question or two. So both in your verbal presentation right now and in the materials we received with your application, it refers to kind of a social equity plan.
Yes.
And I just wanted to be sure. I know that under our recently adopted code, there are what's called kind of like a social equity exemption. But my understanding that's for smaller operations, specifically, Flint resident-based operations, and wouldn't apply to a Class C application. So I just wanted to make sure I understood that you are not applying for a formal social equity exemption to the residential requirements.
No, not for the formal, but we are definitely applying under the variance. As indicated, I spoke to Kelly Thompson, and she indicated this is the proper procedure to seek the variance on this location for our intended use.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question had to do with the responses provided on the application. It's page 3 of the application. And for each of the 5 standards, it just gave a one-word yes or no response rather than any explanation. And I wondered if there's any elaboration you might like to make on any of those responses.
Well, in terms of, I think it's sort of subsumed in what we indicated, that we believe that our use and what we intend to do there will benefit the community. If you look at our plan indicates things that we're going to do. We're going to help with blight remediation. We're going to help with parks. We're going to contribute money on a recurring basis and we'll have an agreement with the different charities, neighborhood associations, guaranteeing that they're going to be getting money every week. We will, provide 24/7 electronic security around our facility that will have video surveillance, which will also help in the community. We plan to be a good neighbor. We're not looking to take and not give back. We're looking to give back and make the area beautiful. And how you do that is one step at a time. Make our facility beautiful, engage the community, and make things better for everyone as best that we can. Also providing jobs to the neighborhood. Anyone that can work for us, we will hire them, excuse me.
Other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Commissioner Jewell?
Yeah, just, is it Mr. Kiosis? Did I pronounce that correctly, sir?
Yes, CUSIS is fine.
Kiosis?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my apologies. Two items. One is, I know you're looking at a benefit plan for the community. Are you aware that the Planning Commission originally recommended a 500-foot distance location from a residential area, and that City Council actually changed that to 300? And so we've been attempting to be very sensitive to residential locations. Were you aware of that?
I was aware that there was a location restriction, but I was also aware that after the passing of the ordinance and after speaking with Ms. Thompson, that we were able to submit this variance as long as we set forth a plan as I provided for charity, blight remediation, and things of that nature. And that's what we did. So I think that our plan.
Well, I appreciate your response. I was just focusing on the original intent of the locational parameters. Could you also address the issue regarding the hardship that you would face?
Well, my client, Mr. Zaytuna, has purchased the property. The hardship is that we think that we would have, by not being engaged in this business, which would benefit the community, that would put a hardship on us. We understand that this property is already industrial use. It's been sitting pretty much empty, and the property needs to be rehabilitated. And this is probably the best use for it at this time. Not allowing us to continue with our proposed use would put a hardship on the property owner and us. We would not be able to operate.
I guess I'm a little bit confused, and I guess I'm following the same approach that Commissioner Jordan approached, is because when I read your application, it said no, no, yes, no, yes.
Yeah, well, that was regarding those applications.
And it didn't tell me anything.
Well, it says, is like, for instance, number one, will the proposed use alter the essential character of the area? No, the use is already industrial for our property. So it's not going to alter it because it's industrial use. That strip has been zoned industrial. Just to the east of us is a humongous building that my understanding is falling apart. That is industrial as well.
Okay, I'm a little bit confused.
Okay.
You're applying to put in, you're looking for a special regulated use. That's
Correct.
the proposed use.
Correct.
So the question was the essential character. And I'm just at a loss because the questions being presented don't seem to be answered.
Well, the answer is, will the proposed use alter the essential character of the area? The answer is no. It's an industrial use. We're continuing an industrial use. It's a grow facility.
Thank you, but that was not the question I was asking.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But I'm still looking for the intent of a locational variance has as its basis hardship.
Well,
and that the intent of putting a special regulated use into this arena is to supposedly alleviate a hardship that you're facing.
Well, in terms of the hardship that we're facing is not being to operate for that under the proposed use that we wanted, the regulated use that we indicated, the marijuana business. So what we wanted to do, is this a self-created hardship? Well, I guess you could say it is self-created if you look at it from that perspective, that we're trying to put a marijuana facility in this particular location. But on the other hand, if this property were anywhere else, it would not be a hardship because the property with the use would be an allowed in industrial area. The location, the proximity limit is what creates the hardship with the residential across the street. That's our issue, and that's why we had to apply for this variance.
I'll finish up my last question.
Okay.
Is in reviewing the staff report, you don't seem to be addressing the concerns that staff have raised. And that's why the nature of my question is to provide additional opportunity for you to provide insight.
Well, I've not seen the staff report. I've heard what he indicated, but I don't recall every detail of it. But I think that in terms of whether or not this use would benefit the community, which I think should be a very important factor, I think it would definitely benefit it at this location.
Well, and Mr. Chair, this will be my last question, okay?
Yes.
The first question on the application is will the proposed use alter the essential character of the area? And the staff just presented information regarding each of those questions on your application. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay. Staff finding in the report that the existing use of the area is already industrial, commercial, and the proposed use would not represent a significant detour from these uses. Staff findings, the proposed marijuana facility would represent an incompatible use with the resident directly to the north. There does not appear to be anything to buffer the proposed use from directly impeding these residents. You know, they don't have a buffer that would impede the use from the residential area. There's no buffer there. I was just wondering, but
Yeah.
Go ahead. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just to finish up, in reviewing the staff report as well as the staff presentation this evening, my intent was just to kind of follow up from Commissioner Jordan to provide the applicant an opportunity to respond to the same questions posed on his application. That was, I've got what I needed. I was attempting to look for.
Okay. Other questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Sorensen, how long has the current owner owned this property?
The property was, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Steve. No, go ahead, Steve. It's been a few months, maybe 3 or 4 months we purchased the property.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Another question, please. Would this be your first marijuana facility?
No, it wouldn't. I own 408 South Center Road. I have developed that. The property was worth probably maybe 500,000. We purchased it for 1.25. So we brought a lot of tax value to the city. I was also involved in developing 2100 Dort Highway, which was the Genesee packing facility, and that brought up the value of that facility also. We plan to do the same thing here. We probably will quadruple, if not maybe more. We'll plan to put quite a bit of money into this building, which will bring the property value up and tax value and everything else. This is not my first go around, no.
Okay, but when you purchased this property, you were aware that you would have a challenge because of the residents.
Correct.
Okay.
And
All right.
we spoke with them prior to that also. and they were in support. They didn't have any issues. Most of the homes in direct contact of us are either abandoned or burned down. And that's why we thought we might have a better chance. But even the people that are within, like basically across the street, they welcome the project for security reasons in that area.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions from the commission to the applicant? Other questions from the commission to the applicant? Okay, thank you. What is the desire of the commission?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
um,
Well,
I think
where's the
we,
public hearing? I got to call for something. I forgot. Hold up. Is that what you're finna remind me of, Commissioner Jewell?
yes, I'm just jumping in as a reminder.
Thank you. I was just thinking, my head is someplace else right now. I'm opening it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak in favor of PC 21411 Bugatti Enterprise LLC request for a medical marijuana facility located a marijuana facility location variance from 300 feet from a residential zone for a Group F growing facility at 2424 Kansas Street, Flint, PID 4108284013. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? KZ, is there anybody you see out there with their hand raised or?
Nope, we don't see anyone here, but we do have someone on the meeting that's 950162.
Person on 950162.
Yeah, I'm asking them to unmute. They just need to click unmute.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone
There's
wishing
no
to
one-
speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to oppose PC 21411 Bugatti Enterprises LLC requests a medical marijuana facility location variance from 300 feet from a residential zone for a Group F growing facility at 2424 Kansas, Flint, PID 4108284013. Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose? I still see the 950162 person. I don't know if they're just listening in or what. Anyone wishing to oppose? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. What is the desire of the commission?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. Before you get to that point, I just wanted to check with staff whether there was any other communications, emails, or phone calls regarding this public hearing.
To answer Commissioner Jewell's question, Commissioner Wesley, no, we have not received any other communications.
Thank you.
And we sent out, of course, we sent out the notification letters, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What is the desire of the commission? Well, let's discussion. Is there any discussion for the commissioners?
This is Commissioner Jordan.
Commissioner Jordan.
I think it's important to recognize the efforts that the applicant has stated in terms of the proposed social benefits and the, they clearly have done some work trying to identify some of the resident groups in that area and whatnot. So I think it's useful to note that. By the same token, I'm struck that the criteria that we're bound to follow legally are not criteria based in the potential community benefit, but more so, is it a unique condition of the property? Is it, the kind of quintessential one is it a funky shaped lot that somehow creates an impediment that otherwise wouldn't exist if it was a more conventional shaped parcel, things of that sort. And by the ordinance, we have to be able to assert that each one of the 5 standards is met in order to grant a locational variance. And so I'm struck that there are compelling reasons to want to support the constructive reuse of that property, but finding it difficult to say that all 5 conditions are met.
And I think we are bound by all 5 of those conditions. All 5 of those conditions have to be intact. And in the effort of being consistent, if you would, that's one of the major tasks of our commission. And of course, we can't always satisfy everyone. Any other discussion from the commission? Further discussion from the commission?
Can I add anything at this point, or is it too late?
It's just a time for the commissioners right now. Just before I call for a motion. But hearing nothing from the commissioners, what is the desire of the commission?
Well, Commissioner Wesley, Bill Vandercook, if you don't mind.
Bill?
For some information, if you don't mind. The permanent marijuana ordinance 5183 that was adopted in February this year under U, community benefits, location exemptions. If you don't mind, I think it's important that I read that section of the ordinance pertaining to a social equity program for the commission. That's okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Vandercook.
Community benefits, location exemption, social equity programs exemptions, applicants who apply for a Group G SRU, i.e. a micro business license, or who apply for a Group F SRU strictly for Class A, which is 500 plants, grow facility, may be eligible for exemption from the 300-foot residential distance requirement without the need for a location variance, provided that they meet the following criteria. The applicant either as an individual or all of the members of the partnership or other corporate entity applicant is a resident of the city of Flint, and the applicant either as an individual or all of the members of the partnership or other corporate entity applicant is pre-approved in the state of Michigan social equity program. And the application in question is for a parcel zone D3 or D4 for a micro business, or zoned E for a Class A grow facility, and the applicant must be able to demonstrate that the proposed facility will demonstratively be an asset to the neighborhood and as constructed and operated by the applicant will not have any minimal negative secondary effects on the neighborhood. Negative secondary effects can include the following impacts: vehicular and pedestrian traffic, noise, odors, or lights that emanate beyond the site's boundaries onto the property in the area on which there are residential dwellings, excessive numbers of persons gathering outside the establishment, peak hours of use that add to the congestion or other negative effects in the neighborhood. The applicant or the applicable parcel would remain subject to the other locational criteria, notwithstanding the exemption outlined above. An applicant who elects not to participate in this voluntary exemption plan process may alternately seek a locational variance before the Planning Commission. Thank you, Commissioner Wesley.
That what he just read is part of ordinance.
Permanent ordinance 50.
Yeah,
183.
permanent ordinance.
6-4.
Yeah.
Starting on page 44.
Yep.
And this is Commissioner Jordan. So just to clarify, Bill, thank you for noting that. I think that was the portion of the ordinance I tried to reference in my first question. But just to make sure I'm clear on the take-home message from that. So essentially what you're saying is that there would have been a social equity exemption potentially, but it would have to be a Class A growing versus the Class C that's being requested. And there's some parameters around things like ownership or being pre-identified by the state as qualifying for social equity exemption in order for that to be a potential consideration.
That's correct, Commissioner Jordan.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you see. Okay. What is the desire of the commission?
Chairman Wesley,
Yes.
I would move that we deny PC 21411 Pagrati Enterprises LLC requesting a medical marijuana facilities location variance from 300 feet of residential zone for a Group F growing facility at 2424 Kansas, PID 4108284013, on the basis that the four following standards have not been met. The first being that there is no imposed hardship. Second being incompatibility with the adjacent land use, in particular the lack of any buffer with residential. Thirdly, that there's no peculiar circumstances to that parcel of land. And fourthly, that the spirit of the ordinance is to provide a distance between the proposed use and residential.
It's been moved.
Support.
Is that Commissioner Ryan?
Support.
Commissioner Ryan, that's right. You supported the motion, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll. Well, the motion is for denial of PC 21411 Pagati Enterprises LLC request for a medical marijuana facility location variance from 300 feet from a residential zone for a Group F growing facility at 2424 Kansas, PID 4108284013 for 4 reasons which was outlined in the motion. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan,
Commissioner Ryan, yes for denial.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Blauer,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins, Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes for denial.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes for denial. To the applicant, your request for a variance from 300 feet from a residential zone for a Group F growing facility has been denied. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is no site plan reviews. Next is case review. SPR 2941 Sylvester Broom Empowerment Village is requesting a site plan review. 4119 North Saginaw Street. You have your case review memorandums, which gives, Jonathan, are you going to speak to these, or the commissioner just can read them and we go on? Or
I think if it's the desire of the commission to have them read, I think Bill was going to do that.
Okay.
Bill.
Bill?
Thank you, Commissioner Wesley. For SPR
Mr.
2941.
Hold up, Bill. Commissioner Jewell?
Yeah, on SPR 20-941, and Mr. Vandercook will probably address to it. I think the date was wrong where it says Planning Commission meeting date had 11/24/2021.
Oh, we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
We haven't gotten to November 24th yet, have we? No?
We
Bill?
haven't, and I take responsibility
Thank
for
you
that
for that
mistake.
clarification. No, we have not.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Bill.
So SPR 2941, which is Sylvester Broom Empowerment Village, I'm sorry. There's no report other than on the memorandum. I believe the date is January 24th, 2021. 2020. No. It is 2021, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And the commissioners have the memorandum that was requested with the items that were conditioned for potential approval in the future. Regarding SPR 21-945, Communities First, Glenn Wilson requesting a site plan review at 2765 Flushing Road. There's no report. For SPR 21-946, Secure Can Inc. requesting a site plan review at 2502 South Dort Highway. There's no report. And regarding SPR 21-948, QPS Michigan Holdings LLC requesting a site plan review at Merrill Street and Eastwood Street. At the May 11th Planning Commission meeting, we heard a case PC 21-400 regarding QPS Holdings. Within their application for permit license for special regulated use, they supplied a floor plan. In this review, for SPR 21-948, they completely revised their floor plan, more than 50%. So there was within the site plan review, there were conditions that were landscaping, lighting, and additionally, they've changed an exterior rendering of the building. And additionally, they've changed that floor plan in their additional PC case, PC 21-400. So the applicant was made aware that he needed to supply the information in a certain time period, which he did. I was away and a smaller than normal site plan got put in the commissioner's packages. I apologize for that. So. I'm not sure if the commission has, a large enough site plan to make a decision tonight. And also, I'm not sure how you consider making a motion possibly to change a floor plan that's inaccurate from the May 11th Planning Commission PC case, PC 21-400.
Okay, I think that would, just Commissioner Joe, if you hold on just a second. What I'm thinking, I got a thought here that we might be able to, if they've met the floor plan that they had provided, which we got, that you cannot see. And I asked Bill and Jonathan, because I think it was some things that we requested for the floor plan that they have complied with. It was the lighting and the landscaping. That's all part of this very microscopic floor plan that we have. And between Bill and Jonathan and myself in the eyes of KZ, because neither my eyes are no good, and looking at this, I did find the lighting and the landscaping that's on this plan, that if the commissioners felt comfortable that we might be able to amend our motion from the PC 21-400 that would to amend the motion that the floor plan that they provided in SPR 2148 is what the commissioners desired. Commissioner Jewell, you was going to say?
Yeah, I was just pulling out my notes from the June 8th meeting regarding the case review. And it was my understanding that we did get, as Mr. Vandercook pointed out, we did get an updated floor plan, which was more than 50% change. But during our discussion, there was a motion that was made by Commissioner Jordan and also by supported by Commissioner Ryan, which is in tonight's minutes, regarding a revised security plan. And my notes also indicate that if those things were then provided, that would then be part of administrative review with your consultation and approval. So unless I'm a little bit confused, is staff recommending we should go back, and are you, Mr. Chair, saying we should go back and change the original motion? We
amend the original motion to reflect that we've the floor plan in the original motion had been changed, and they provided an updated floor plan for review.
Correct. And that it was my understanding, and I can be corrected by my colleagues, that there was a sense of acceptability of the revised updated floor plan, but that a security plan had to be provided, and that those, as well as the lighting and the landscaping and the building rendering, would then all be part of an administrative review.
They've
have they submitted something else? I mean,
Commissioner Wesley, Bill Vandercook, Chairman of the
go ahead,
Field Board. The ordinance actually says if an individual makes significant changes to his floor plan, that has to come back before the planning commission. When the applicant submitted, QPS Holdings submitted the floor plan with the site plan, I contacted Commissioner Wesley so that we could review the information, and a determination was made. It was so significant that the floor plan should come back before the planning commission. Thank you, Commissioner Wesley.
And that's what we have, that's that minuscule one you have now is the new updated floor plan. And I'm saying that maybe we can replace the updated one, replace the old one with the updated one by amending an amendment to a motion. I don't know.
Yeah,
Elizabeth,
this
what
is
you-
Commissioner Jordan, and that was kind of my understanding too, was that based on the prior conditional approval, the chair in conjunction with staff had the authority to say, yes, they've now provided the additional documents to satisfy. However, in the course of that, it appeared that the site plan layout had changed so much that it requires collective planning commission action in order to substitute that floor plan essentially for the one that was initially part of the packet.
Part of the packet. You know, I think if the commissioners are comfortable with amending the original motion, because they have presented a floor plan and then they don't have to bring this back before us again.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I'm operating from our last discussion and our last motion. I'm of the view that if the staff in reviewing this updated information as well as yourself are comfortable with that, is there an appropriate motion for us to make to move in that direction? Because when I got this material and I did inquiries, I was at a loss because there was no corresponding staff review of the information I got.
Okay. That's what I'm just trying to think how we could, because everything that's there and more, because they changed the floor plan somewhat, but it's, you know, it's still, they did all the lighting, they did the
landscaping.
Landscaping and it's security.
Mr. Chair, there was a question of a change in the building itself, the exterior of the building.
Yeah,
Mr. Vandercook, is that?
Thank you, Commissioner Wesley, to Commissioner Jules answer his question. It's the floor plan. The floor plan was.
Yeah.
The floor plan was significantly altered.
Okay.
And because of the code, I'm not allowed to, I don't believe that we're allowed to do that administratively with oversight of the chairman.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, all right. But I just wanted to double check. So
yeah,
the lighting and the landscape in the exterior of the building, they all met the criteria we originally requested. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay. So the new floor plan is the one that has to be approved upon.
That would be correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And everything there is in line far as we could see, I could see. And with the eyes of Jonathan and KZ and Bill, we did our due diligence, I think. And I was just thinking if we could do I would say an amended motion that would take care of getting this off of our case
Agenda.
review list.
Mr. Chair, to Commissioner Jordan. Commissioner Jordan, since you were the last person that made a motion regarding the direction we're moving in to this arena, are you comfortable in making an additional motion as we move forward so there's a sense of consistency?
Sure, so I'll do that right now. I would move that we accept the updated floor plan that was provided for SPR 21-948 QPS Michigan Holdings LLC, requesting a site plan review at Merrill Street and East Wood Street, PID 1340030 and 4107134031. That the site plan is consistent and that we can, and that this is the floor plan that will prevail in terms of any associated special regulated use.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I will second that. I just need a clarification. Do we need to include within that motion the updated security plan, and the revised lighting, landscaping, and exterior building?
I don't know if the exterior goes in there, but the revised lighting,
Yeah.
the exterior is,
I guess my assumption was that the conditional approval covered those, but if it helps to make it more explicit that our approval includes that there's the satisfaction of those other site plan related items such as lighting and landscaping, et cetera.
okay. So a motion has been made and properly seconded by Commissioner Jewell to accept the new floor plan on SPR 21-948. Any further discussion?
And in that the motion makes note of the accepted conditions being the previous conditions have been met.
Correct. Any other discussion? Roll for approval.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Blauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins, Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. So that one can come off of our case review list. Next reports, status of the permanent marijuana ordinance. Assistant City Attorney, Joanne Gurley. Attorney Gurley.
Sorry about that. I was unmute. Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you. So at this point, I am discussing the time frame for the ordinances.
Please, I can't do a thing.
Commissioner Sorensen, could you mute yourself, please? Sorry, Commissioner Attorney Gurley. Go ahead.
No problem. So we're trying to come up with a time frame as to bring the other ordinances before you, and it will definitely be a slower pace. I apologize for that, but we are going to develop a schedule so that you all will be aware of when the next set of ordinances will come to you.
Okay.
Mr.
Bishop-
Chair,
ahead.
I'm a little bit confused. Our focus is on the permanent marijuana ordinance. I'm not quite sure what Attorney Gurley is making reference to of other ordinances.
I was referring to the amendment that we needed to make.
To the ordinance?
Yes,
Okay, so you're talking about not other ordinances, but amendments to the ordinance.
Current ordinance.
Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay, thank you. I was a little bit confused there.
All right.
Have you set a time frame for that?
We have not.
Do you know what you're looking at?
Well, I will be meeting with the city attorney tomorrow, and so I hope to be able to set that time frame and then get back with you with the information.
Thank you.
No problem.
That's everything, Attorney Gurley? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. You're unmuted. Next is the status of the marijuana-related revenue. Suzanne? Wilcox? KZ, is she there?
One second, sorry.
Hello, can I speak now?
Oh,
Who are you?
Hello.
Who is that?
So my name is Taylor. I'm a Flint resident. Is this a time where I can speak or no?
No, no, Ms. Taylor. Ms. Wilcox.
yes, I'm unmuting, Suzanne. She might be having, some connection issue.
Where did this Taylor come from?
We'll give her a few seconds if you don't mind.
Okay.
Is my phone ringing?
No. I think that
Oh.
was a house phone. in my-
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I think Suzanne's having some technical difficulties there.
Well, she's on both of the, well, we can go, she's got the next, she got the marijuana, related revenue and the status of the draft zoning ordinance and staffing update. And now we got the status of the planning commission recommendation on PC 2140H Schultz Acquisition LLC request for a rezoning from D4 to D5 at 448 South Saginaw Street. Wanted to know what happens with that resolution. Did our findings go to Flint City Council yet, and what's happening, what's going on with that. And I think Suzanne probably the one speaking on that too. And so we can always go to Jonathan.
There you go.
Yep. I can give an update on the I-475 committee.
Okay, Jonathan.
So the committee meeting is going to take place tomorrow from 2 to 3 p.m. They will be discussing the public response from a May 11th public workshop. At this workshop, they engaged the public about their plans for I-475. I will have more information, I guess a more in-depth overview of what was discussed tomorrow during our July 13th meeting. I did confirm that Commissioner Chairman Wesley is on this email thread, and other City of Flint employees included on it include Mark Adis from engineering, Kalfani Stevens from the Economic Development Department, and Lottie Ferguson, who I believe works in public health. And so I'll have a more in-depth overview at the July 13th meeting, and any questions you may have, I can answer now.
Jonathan, that meeting tomorrow, is there a phone-in number? Or is it just gonna be, well, I can listen in?
Yep, so it's going to take place on Microsoft Teams. There is a phone-in number as well. I can make sure, I can just, forward the official invitation to you and make sure you have it, give you a call and make sure you have it in your possession.
Okay. Let's see if I can be on that tomorrow, just to listen in, see what's happening. All right. Casey, you still working with Suzanne?
Actually, Suzanne is unmuted now.
Okay. Ms. Wilcott, status of the marijuana-related revenue?
I apologize. I'm sorry. It took me a minute. So the status of the marijuana related revenue, I have no update on those funds yet, other than to say that there wasn't a resolution that was presented, and this is separate from that, but there was a resolution that was presented. It was not approved at the Flint City Council about the Planner One, and you know that we have posted right now a Planner One position specifically addressing marijuana usage. This was, it looks like an additional Planner One, and it was from, the funding was to be from the American Rescue Plan funds. And so that is something that was news to me. So I'm trying to get some update on that to see whether we are looking at having 2 new Planner One positions instead of just one, which would be great, I think. But it looks like, that there will be some money allocated out of the American Rescue Plan. Well, and I don't know if that's to replace the marijuana related revenue, which is still in the account. It's still there. But I'm still trying to get details on that. So I will let you know on that. But that was just something I wanted to pass along that was interesting to me. So we'll see if we're going to have 2 new Planner Ones instead of 1.
Okay.
And then next, the status of the draft zoning ordinance and staffing update. I don't have any, and I know Joanne's on the phone. We still have to get together and determine when we are going to be bringing the next 6 articles. I know it was brought up at the last council meeting, and there was a desire to wait until the budget was adopted. Now that that has been approved, I would imagine that we're going to be bringing those pretty soon. Joanne, I know, and I and Angela probably need to decide if that's, on the next city council meeting or after the holidays, which I would imagine it would be after July 4th. But I expect that since the budget has been adopted, that will happen relatively quickly. Angela and I did talk about breaking it down a little bit further rather than having 6 articles presented at a time, having fewer articles. So we do need to continue conversation on that, but I imagine that will happen pretty quickly. And staffing update, I have no update except for what I just shared about the planner one, the lead planner. We're looking at some additional recruitment efforts. We don't have, I am getting candidates in pretty quickly right now, but I'm in the process of reviewing them. But that's for all of the positions, including the planner one. I think I have a couple for the lead planner, but looking at expanding recruitment efforts for that. So that is ongoing. We will be scheduling interviews for the planner one very soon. And then the status of the Planning Commission recommendation for PC 21-408 Schultz acquisitions. That resolution to set a public hearing for this was approved after a lot of dialogue. Just the resolution to set the public hearing was approved at the last city council meeting. I think it took 3 city council meetings to approve that. That is the first step. Then the resolution, I'm sorry, the public hearing will be held on, I think it's July 12th. It is July 12th. We leave that blank and then the city clerk staff fill it in when they set the public hearing because it just depends on when they can get it published. So that public hearing is going to be July 12th. I expect there, and at that point, we will be bringing the memorandum that outlines the Planning Commission recommendation and the reason for that for that decision, and then looking for some action from the city council as to whether affirm or uphold that denial or whether to reverse that decision. So Bill and Corey and I still need to discuss that. It is a little bit different. We went back and did a lot of review on the ordinance, which is we wanted to make sure that we were presenting it properly in terms of that we were presenting the recommendation properly, because the ordinance is a little bit different than the way that it has been done in the past. So we're still, that's something Bill and I need to finalize, and but that will be going before council on July 12th. And we will be presenting, obviously, the findings that were presented to the Planning Commission and the decision that the Planning Commission made, and then looking for city council and to, as I said, either uphold or reverse the decision. And there has been a lot of public input in this already. So continued dialogue. I expect there to be a lot of discussion at that July 12th meeting. And I will keep you informed, and you are all also invited to attend that meeting if you'd like.
Go ahead.
Nope, that's it. I was just gonna say, that's all I have.
It's going to be really interesting if they're going to just pluck this out and be a spot zone. How they going to do that? You know, I'm real curious, and I don't think I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss of words. I know it's been a lot of dialogue in there, but I was just wondering, you know, which direction council will sway. And I just think if we set our findings to council, I think we're on solid ground in that effort. So.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Councilman Campbell, along with the findings that we've already looked at, if maybe we can also let them know if it becomes a D5, what other types of businesses can come into that spot? If that spot, you know, if he decides that he no longer wants to have marijuana, a provisional center there, what else could go into that spot? I think that's probably important too. Just a suggestion.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. Suzanne, thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
A number of items I think we need to be conscientious of. And I just pose these as open-ended items and so forth. Prior to the city council having its public hearing, are they aware of and do they understand the dynamics and the role of spot zoning? Secondly, from our experience with the public hearing on spot zoning, the presentation was basically on a special regulated use. It didn't necessarily address the issue of spot zoning, though we as commissioners, in my view, attempted to get clarification. Additionally, at our public hearing, there were two items that were brought up. One was the issue of contractual zoning, that contractual zoning is an option. I'm not sure if it's contractual zoning or conditional zoning. Is that something, and I'm not looking for an answer right now, but is that something that staff is aware of and can clarify? The other is the issue that was presented that a number of cities within Michigan are placing special regulated use marijuana facilities in their downtown areas and have addressed that. So my open-ended question is, what are those other cities? How did that come about and so forth? I also have a concern about the presentation that was made at our public hearing in regards that the owner of the property talked about this plan or this agreement or this community benefit, and it was verbally presented and it was talked about, but there was never anything written or presented to us or I think to anyone else. So I think there needs to be a conscientious awareness about that, especially in light of the issue of, and I'm using this term in quotes, is this being addressed as a social equity plan and so forth. So I'm concerned about, the difference between verbally expressing something and secondly, what's actually in writing. And I guess in regards to the document, the applicant, who was the owner of the property, who was going for a rezoning, was talking about an agreement with the business that was going to go in there, which then raises larger questions, because I always thought that the applicant of a special regulated use, particularly for marijuana, would present their documents of what they may or may not be doing, or particularly what they may be doing regarding and I'm going to use the term, a community benefit approach and so forth. It's also been brought to my attention and awareness that this particular company has already submitted an application to staff regarding a special regulated use. So I think there's a variety of different questions and concerns and awareness for folks to be aware of, particularly in light of informing and bringing city council aware of information, not the night of the planning of the public hearing, but prior to that, just as for us as planning commissioners, for us being familiar with, prior to our public hearing, issues related to spot zoning and related items. So I share that. And then, Suzanne, I appreciate the offer of us attending at the public hearing, but I'm going to go back to our bylaws, and our bylaws specifically focus on the fact that the chairperson represents the Planning Commission. A decision has been made by the Planning Commission regarding this particular item. And it's my understanding that, as you shared, staff would be making information available, and pending Planning Commission involvement, that would probably be more appropriate for the chair as part of any team approach that may be utilized. So I just wanted to share those as open-ended questions and open-ended issues, because I think what may be occurring is a presentation to city council very much similar to what we had which was focusing on a special regulated use and what could go in there versus the issue of zoning, spot zoning, and the effect that it may have, as well as who benefits and who does not benefit, particularly in regards to the issue raised as a larger question of a benefit plan for the community as a whole, which none of us have seen. We have heard, but have not seen. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to verbalize those items.
Okay. I think one of the major concerns, who would benefit the most from this particular zoning, and actually the effect that it would have on that area downtown. And that's one of the things we talk about, that I'm going to talk about in the toolkit. You know, our master plan deals with the future 20 and 30 years out. And I don't know if we actually want our downtown to be a facility for marijuana. And then you got the liquor stores, or and then you got some other things that's coming downtown that I don't know if we want downtown. So,
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, if my memory is correct, and you can help me or staff can help me, if a rezoning occurs for a parcel, that stays as such. Is that correct?
that's it. Zoning stays with the property, not with the owner.
And then, and even if that property is, that parcel or property is sold to a different owner, that zoning still stays as that.
That's correct.
Okay. I would be curious about this concept of contractual zoning, and I'm just using the term, I use the term conditional zoning because I always think of conditions if you're going to zone and stuff, but I'm not looking for an answer right now.
They both are interchangeable, as I understand it, as I read it.
Oh,
you have to be very careful with that, because it has to be spelled out very clearly with, I think, some time constraints placed on it. And somebody have to monitor all of that going on, because at the point that is not, those contracts or conditions are not fulfilled, that goes back to the original zoning. Contractual don't change the zoning, as I understand it.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
What do you think about that? Is that how I read that?
So it would go back to the original zoning if the conditions placed by the commission, or actually, sorry, by the applicant on the rezoning are not met. It does go back to the original zoning. But I do want to add one thing real quick. Although the Zoning Enabling Act permits conditional rezonings, it is recommended by MSU extension that our ordinance actually spell out some guidelines, some findings, some standards, and our zoning ordinance does not. So I would steer the commission clear of a conditional rezoning for that reason.
They don't have it. We don't have it. So,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. Is there anything else for Suzanne for the information going to council about our recommendation for that particular issue?
The only thing I will say, Chairman Wesley, is that I did present the information as to the Planning Commission recommendation and the reason for the denial. I believe the recommendations were actually read into, or I'm sorry, the reasons for the decision were actually read into the record at the first meeting, because immediately council started asking questions, and I can't remember, but I think I read the specific reasons for the denial. And that would be something that would be read into the record at the public hearing as well. And I appreciate Commissioner Jewell's recommendation that those be also presented prior to. I think that they have been presented already, so that the council are aware of it, but I think that that's a good point to make sure that, they have all the information in advance of the public hearing. And I believe that that was actually part of, I can't remember, but I think that those questions were asked at one of the meetings. There were a few at one of the, and they went pretty late, at one of the meetings for discussing setting the public hearing. And the other thing that I would just say is that there was, Commissioner Jewell said a lot, and I don't remember everything, but one of the things that he asked is if he knows that Mr. Schultz had identified that that Loom, the cannabis company, had downtown locations, and he wanted to know where in fact those other locations are. And I know that Loom has many locations around the state, and I don't know which ones are downtown or not, but I can say with certainty that there is one downtown location in Owasso. And just wanted to clarify that. Just looking at their website, they do have many, many locations, and it does look like a lot of them are downtown, but with certainty there is a downtown location in Owasso's downtown district. So that is accurate. And yeah, I will keep you informed, and we'll continue to provide information. I appreciate the recommendation to give as much information to the council as possible in advance of the public hearing.
Okay, all righty. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is Planning Commission recommendation for site plans. Commissioner Jewell.
Very brief. Just wanted to share with everybody from our last meeting. Thank you for your comments. As you notice, a number of those items were listed in our minutes. As you know, Bill has been on vacation, and now that he's getting back and just eager and ready to go, he and I will be meeting to continue the process of taking a look at how to bring us up to date with a variety of approaches to site plans. And again, just as another insight in the Planning Commissioner's Toolkit, which I know our chairperson will be overseeing this evening, there is a section on page 50 regarding site plan. And also in Planning and Essentials, there is also a section called Site Plan Review. So again, take some time to re-review that, become familiar with those efforts. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Any resolutions? Hearing none. Old business, Planning Commissioners Member Orientation Binder, Planning Commissioners Toolkit. Oh, that's me. I'm going to be very brief, and I'd just like to tell each commissioner, the toolkit booklet is a tremendous guide. And just to start out, it says a candidate must be willing, as a planning commissioner, must be willing to sit through many long meetings and respond to an angry public, and who often requires quick decisions. You must be able to plan entire communities. The toolkit gives us, and that's exactly what it is, tools to use in becoming a planning commissioner. And what does, we've often talked about in our meetings, what gives us the authority to do what we do. And I'll take you over. I'm skipping through this. It's the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. And it says, what is a planning commissioners are created by the authority given to them, given to local units of government by the Michigan Enabling Act. And what is the purpose of the Planning Commission? To develop a master plan and to implement that master plan. And that's what they talked about, the Planning Commission responsibilities. As a planning commissioner, an individual is expected to make a commitment to the community by developing and upholding the master plan. And the master plan is a future plan, and it looks out to into the future, 20 to 30 years. And prior to our master plan, the last master plan was done some 40 years ago. And of course, we know Flint has changed tremendously in that time period. So to highlight some other things in the toolkit, it says what we do, we develop and adopt a master plan. That's our main purpose. We work with other agencies like the Zoning Board of Appeals, Economic Development Corporation, the Downtown Development Authority, the Historical District, and all other legislative bodies. I just have to check something here because I got old business, but they talk about our ability to work with others and the political in planning and political context. And it said that it can be difficult, and we know on occasions when others oppose our judgment, especially when you see your decisions being based on the master plan. During these potentially frustrating times, it's important that you recall that planning occurs within the context of a democratic process, which can be very frustrating. Looking at the Planning Commission has two major obligations. That's developing a master plan and providing leadership to implement that plan. And that's what we do here, folks. The Planning Commissioner's job is to remember the future picture of your community. Envision it in a master plan. The master plan is nothing more than a roadmap on how you want your community to look. As you've all doing and what we've all doing, have been doing the site plan reviews. It talks about how you go about site plan reviews, zoning maps, all those things. And I'd just like to open it up right now. We got 10 minutes to do this. Is there anything that the commissioners would like to highlight out of the toolkit for other commissioners, that things that you got out of the toolkit booklet? You know, we talked about the Open Meetings Act and the new one that we have read now because of the changing times, which is the virtual meeting response, virtual meeting act that we have to go through. That's all part of this. This is a reference guide. One thing they talked about in his ex parte contact, and must be familiar with that as sort of a guide. You know, do not discuss proposals with the property owners, neighbors, or applicants outside of a public meeting. That's just part of the ex parte orders. And it talks about our roles and responsibilities, what's the role of the chairman, the public hearing process. I think all of us, I know the old timers, feel fairly comfortable with all of these procedures. So is there anything that commissioners would like to point out in discussion in our brief discussion? Does anybody like to highlight something that, we talked about the meeting rules of the commissioners. How do we address the public and how we meet the public? So is anything out of the toolkit that the commissioners would like to highlight for me, please?
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
Jewell.
this is Commissioner Jewell. Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay, I didn't know if I lost you there or you lost me. Three things that come to my mind, both in reviewing the toolkit and our experience and so forth, is us working to make sure we understand terms, making sure we're using the common terms and phrases in the work that we do. The second is being clear about the process, that there's a sense of consistency. I know I have a tendency to raise a variety of questions and concerns, and I try to be consistent in that effort to garner some additional information and insight. And then the third part is the point that you made, is being conscientious of our role. Yes, we are planning commissioners. Yes, we need to be conscientious. And I think back over the years, and I think I've shared this with my fellow commissioners, that I've gotten phone calls and inquiries regarding a variety of different proposals or applications that are coming up. And I've always taken the approach of saying, thank you ever so much for calling. Yes, you are on the agenda. Probably the most appropriate person to speak to is the zoning coordinator, who can give you updates and insights regarding the process and procedures that we use. And then if there's additional concerns, there is a chairperson for the planning commission. That way there's a sense of process, and a sense of consistency and a sense of involvement. So those are just a couple of key things that I've gained.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else talk about things that they've picked up doing this process? Because it's an ongoing learning experience. I often say that, this book acts as a reference to where you go look for the information that you need and what you are looking for once you get there. I think it does a good job in doing that. It talks about communications to the citizens that we represent. It's basic stuff. I know Commissioner Sorensen was saying that she just picked up and just read it all.
No, no, she did not. She did not say that. Absolutely not. It's got a lot of information in it, and it is very interesting, but no. No, I did not read it all, and I have not retained much of it. Thank you very much. It is an ongoing learning process for me. Thank you for the opportunity to clarify that.
I thought you said this was a good bedtime reading or something,
No, it's a great book. It's put together beautifully, and it can answer a lot of my questions.
What it would do is tell you where you can go and find when you want to get down into the weeds, as they say, in looking for stuff. It talks about, looking for the planning acts and all of that in our ordinances and how you go about looking for those ordinances. I'm just there, site plan reviews, and it talks about spot zoning in here too. So those are things that it's a lot of things that we dealt with in the last 2 meetings and 3 meetings, is right in this book. You know, and one of the main things I think it is says people are not going to always agree with you.
They came.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that,
Go
one
ahead.
of the
Go
things
ahead.
one of the things that I noticed about it is, it was interesting to see how they framed the history of planning kind of right up front.
Right.
So some of that was new information for me, but I, kind of glossed over some of the challenges of the history of planning as well. Like for a long time, planning was kind of exclusive and maybe led to decisions that weren't in the best interest of everybody. And we talked a lot when we went through our own master planning process around equity and community engagement and how important those were. So I really appreciated that they did include, an overview of a variety of different community engagement techniques and strategies. And certainly when there are a lot of ways to engage folks beyond the legally required things. And so I think certainly within recent years, we've tried to practice and demonstrate a lot of those sorts of approaches, whether it's having open houses and workshops and attending neighborhood group meetings or those sorts of things. So that to me was nice to see how they've kind of identified that in here as well.
It is. And I think, for those who were around when we worked on the master plan. And if you look at, I think most of you might have received a memorandum from Elizabeth, and what we're going to talk about on the new business, the number of neighborhoods and community folks that we got involved, over 5,000 folks got involved in helping to develop that master plan. We had a skillful team out of Chicago, I believe they were, that helped us through that. And this plan was developed and got recognition around the country for being one of the most inclusive master plans around. And this toolkit points out a lot of the things that we did during that development of the master plan. So I just like to, just draw everybody's attention to it. It's a good reference piece. And if there's no further questions, we'll move on.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes, Commissioner Jewell.
You made reference to a section called spot zoning. I wonder if it might be appropriate that we just take a copy of the whole segment, identify where it comes from, and maybe pass it on as reference information also to city council members as regards to background.
I can do that. I'll get with Jonathan and Bill and Jonathan, and we'll come up with something that we could send to city council on that.
Because that may also help in the sense of how we as planning commissioners are looking at our role and our involvement, and having them have that information so that they can understand the direction that we took and so forth, as well as related ordinance issues.
Okay. All right. We'll move on. The American Rescue Plan. That's Suzanne again? Or?
Commissioner Wesley,
Yes.
Suzanne she had to drop out of the meeting. She apologized, but she said your only update on the American Rescue Plan is that Shelby and I have not yet met due to the delays in adopting the budget. So I expect to meet with her next week. That's coming from Suzanne Wilcox.
Okay. New business is on the neighborhood symposium. Commissioner Jordan.
Thank you. So I was approached by Patrick McNeil, who's part of the North Flint Neighborhood Action Council, regarding a neighborhood symposium that they're co-hosting this coming Friday, actually Thursday and Friday. But he had approached me about this coming Friday. That they've been doing some work in partnership with Michigan League for Public Policy and trying to provide training for neighborhood groups and residents in Flint who are interested in learning more about how government works and how to advocate and be involved for the things that they want to see. So my understanding is on Thursday, they're doing a training that's more focused on kind of a civics 101 of the different levels of government. And then day 2, they're wanting to look a bit more at, I think he said the city budget in particular, and then also had an interest in city planning, particularly I think as relates to some of the perceptions and concerns that we've discussed around this table in the past, that with folks sometimes still thinking like, does green neighborhood or green innovation mean that there's not any investment or attention being paid? And so being able to really talk through some of those ways in which people's voices have helped to shape the master plan, and in particular, what does a green neighborhood and green innovation actually mean? And so trying to provide some information around that, both to kind of do some level setting and building some common understanding, common language for that. And then also, identifying ways that folks can be involved and continue to participate in the planning and zoning process. So I am not able to do that myself. They'd asked for a brief, like 10-minute presentation. And then they'd have some kind of additional discussion and whatnot afterward. But I understand from Chairman Wesley that he has kindly invited and requested staff to be part of that. So thank you to Jonathan and I guess to Bill for being willing to be part of that on Friday morning from 10 to 11. So if you haven't signed up and you're interested in attending the symposium, there's no cost. It's through the North Flint Neighborhood Action Council, and I think they have an Evite. There's no cost, but they do ask that you register so you can get the link. So if you have time and you want to be part of that, feel free to participate. I was in the trainings last year and it was pretty well done.
Commissioner Jordan, you say they have an Evite. How do you get on that?
Okay. It is a web link.
Web link.
And yep, I will, if I can here, paste it into the chat. That way everybody can hopefully see that for the symposium.
Jonathan and Bill, because I think they would be the representative if so graciously accepted and volunteered to do that, to be that's part of the community outreach. And we appreciate it. Thank you for that.
And so Jonathan and Bill, I can connect you tomorrow with Patrick to let him know that you're both available to be part of that. And I did a little bit of like preliminary brainstorming, like what based on what they said they wanted might be good things to present. So if you'd like to spend like 20 minutes going through that at some point over the next day or two, just let me know and we can do that. I don't know if everybody can see it in the chat, but I just cut and pasted kind of the text of the email that the NAC had sent out. And that includes a link to the conference registration.
Okay, appreciate it. Is there anything else for the good of the order? We don't, I don't like in setting records here for having long meetings. So if there's nothing else, the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Been moved. Commissioner Blower, is she still on?
Yes, sir.
Boy, you've been awful quiet.
Taking it all in, sir, taking it all in.
You know, I was gonna volunteer, you and I to do this. I know you was busy. I just had to say hi. I hadn't said hi to you. Okay, guys, if nothing else, we would, and I heard a motion for adjournment. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming on tonight, and have a good remaining of your evening. And Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes, I'm here.
what are we having for dinner?
I learned you don't feed the dog before the meeting because he needs his walk, and you need to feed your husband. So I learned something tonight. I apologize for the interruption.
All right, guys.
Like that.
Thank
Take
you.
care of the dog first.
Yeah.
Right.
Commissioner Wesley, this is Bill.
Yeah.
This is Bill.
Yeah, Bill.
You have do we have support for the motion?
I
No,
support the
you never
motion.
did. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
thought I heard a support. Yeah, that was Commissioner Sorensen and Commissioner Campbell. All right, so we are adjourned, folks. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.